All right, here we go. Worlds Week 2 continues. We've got Swiss round 4. It's a 1 and 2 bracket. These teams are playing a best of 3. Loser goes home. All right, winner will advance to play another series on Sunday. But we have Cloud9 versus Fnatic, Big NA versus EU. Taking a peek at the draft, we have Azir, Poppy, Renekton bans, matched by Maokai, Kalista, and Sejuani. Have to talk about Xayah making it through and how we did a rundown. If you guys haven't seen it yet, make sure to check out the meta rundown video. I'll put a link in the description below. But what happens when you allow Xayah to be the first pick? Xayah is winning at 77% right now with like 27 and 8, something like that, some absurd amount of games. Largely because when you get to first pick at blue one, it alters the draft completely. You essentially force the red side team to use a pick on Rakan immediately. So then you can play for Prio in other lanes, right? So they end up going with Rakan plus the strongest available champion that they think is Orianna, but I would put Rumble here. So that puts Rumble and Jarvan together. So now we have this red carpet Cataclysm Xayah combination where you can pair this with anything. This is a huge draft win in the first cycle for Cloud9. I'm uncertain what to think about this Yone pick. I know that Yone can steamroll Orianna. Basically, you respond to the ball being thrown by dashing all in, and you go for as much damage as you can, especially if you ever see her put E on cooldown. But specifically, if you can do it in response to Q and dodge the QW poke, then you can have a definitely favorable trade. On top of that, we have so much lockdown for the Rumble ult, so this should be pretty exciting. On the other side, Lee Sin, Orianna, much harder to execute. Yes, Lee Sin can get into the back of your team's lines, but it's very hard to get the Orianna ball onto him from that distance. And then we have Ezreal, which is just a whole tier lower, not even going for Ashe here. It looks like we might have some trouble. Now, Ezreal Rakan can get the push with the threat of Israel's stacking attack speed, but we'll see how that plays out in the game and whether or not we're going to have any juicy level ones that might alter our laning phase. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, loading into game. We've got Jarvan, as always does, puts the Demacian standard down and get vision in a bush. Orianna getting really close to that wall. That's usually surprising. Normally you don't see them hug this wall. Similarly, putting the ball in the bush. So we're playing pretty big fan outs here. Oscarinian stepping out. I'm surprised to see this ward. Plus Fudge standing here feels like a little bit of a waste. So maybe this is in preparation for some of the perceived prep, saying, hey, this is a pattern that they have. Maybe we can exploit it if they try to step up. We've seen a lot of teams go after whoever sits in this bush. Sylas can EE to get over there. The team can also come around and warp this way, plus this way. Plus you can have champions like Sylas that can jump over that way. So it's much easier to ambush the top laner who's sitting in that bush. That's why they always kind of tuck themselves in. They step out, they step back. But we see nothing for it this game. And it's actually, was it a red ward? Are there two wards on top of each other? I feel like that's got to be it. It's got to be just two wards right on top of each other. Jarvan getting a fat leash means he's going to be much faster on this clear. Lee Sin taking Raptors, though, basically one-shots it with his E. Looks like Orianna may have thrown a ball over there to help him out as well. Makes a big difference when you can do that. Also, you have Smite still available for Lee Sin, so he might actually jump ahead in the pathing here. Jarvan's moving back, so we're going to see full clear. There's an option right here to go in this way, but you see this ward. It's making sure to cover against that. The way to beat this ward, by the way, just stand in here, you EQ into the pit, and then you can go from the river, go for a gank. But Yone's not really looking to do that until level 3. Sometimes you can get a favorable trade-off as early as level 2 using your E and your Q, but that means that you won't have the ability to cast your W for a big shield. And yeah, you can see right there that it's so important for these trading patterns when you're stepping up for last hits that you go and give yourself a shield so you don't take the maximum amount of harass, just like that. QW in response. Now, Lee Sin going for 3 camps into a fight here. This is a fight that Lee Sin wins if he can hit Q1, but he does not. That'll be the end of that. Jarvan and Lee Sin having both their smites available. So they do have options to go for this. It looks like Razork's actually going to stick around in here. Lee Sin wins this fight, but when we talk about Prio, I guess Orianna and Jax are looking to push right here. So this invade is being matched with push. Yone's trying to fight back, apparently. We're going to see this. It's going to be pretty high octane right here. Flashing forward, going for it. All right, there we go. Flash for flash. But that is Rumble's flash. That could be exploited by the Jax. We see Humanoid just taking over. Humanoid, by the way, looks like Steven Rogers, looks like Captain America. Has been the NA killer year after year. Fnatic has to be big favorites going into this. Despite Cloud9 having as good form as they've had, there's been a gap between NA and EU, and it hasn't been particularly close in these. This hasn't really been much of a series, no matter when you cut it. Beautiful clinic and lasting from Yone. Good job. For those of you guys who don't know, every turret has a structure and then it has like a pillar. Wherever this pillar is whatever is closest to you. So if you're not sure which minion's going to be last hit next, you're unsure, like there's a whole grouping, the best thing you can do is just do an attack move click right on this little pillar. And that will help you go, because you'll get the same targeting AI that the turret does. So if there's a big clump and you can't quite get onto it, that's a trick you can do to get those ones under turret. Those out there were a little bit easier. All right, here we go. EQ, drawing aggro. We get the counter strike down. They wish they didn't get 2 trade hits right there. So Oscarinian's going to try to fight for the wave. We do have a flash out. Fudge taking a chunk and getting out for himself. Well played by Oscarinian to survive that. We'll see what Lee Sin gets down on the other side of the map. Now, Lee Sin's going to be feeling very, very strong here. Jarvan probably at his strongest right now with 0 items. He'll be okay right now when he gets some combination of Gore Drinker items. If you're playing on live, something you can do as well to get this early spike, just go buy a Doran's item. All right, the Doran's items are absolutely insane, giving you that extra value. And if you have it and they don't, then you can take over the fights. But in this is still pre-patch, so if a lot of times it's going to be a blinking battle, who's going to do it, and basically you have to pay off with chasing them out of the jungle, otherwise it won't be worth it, because they'll get their mythic, be really happy about it. But Doran's items are just so much better scaling into the end of the game now. See how right there, how Rakan pauses, last hits all the, or first hits all of the casters, so that Ezreal will be able to take them down for himself. And Ezreal taking recalls. We can expect the supports to roam on this timer. All right, this is an important window where you try to get your carries a little bit ahead. So we see Ezreal and Xayah both pathing down there, but Rakan pathing to mid, Nautilus pathing to top. So they're absolutely trying to punish Jax on no flash here. Rumble has a moment to go until level 6. That's obviously the window they need to go for. We'll see whether or not Nautilus makes it all the way into the alcove, or if it takes a more straightforward approach, just trying to hide. You see how he's just kind of tucked in right at the edge of valley. Oh, no, he gets seen right there, so he steps forward. They actually use the equalizer right off the bat. Now, Nautilus can actually go over here and pull him backwards into it. Opts not to. They don't need it. They've got enough damage up front with good lockdown. Beautifully done. Nice roam timer. Now, Rakan is in position, so they should be okay for the rest of this, but Rumble showing exactly how powerful he is. Now, I've got Nautilus. You see that? Step back, that when you hit your spell, it actually connects and brings them further back to you. That's an important step that we see from some champions like Nautilus and Ahri. You'll see Faker's probably the fastest at it in the world. When you watch him play his Ahri, if he lands his charm, he doesn't immediately throw your Q because you're walking towards him. He doesn't want it to pass through and then come back and have you dodge. Instead, he lands his charm, then he takes a step back, then he throws the spell so that it loops right on top of you. And this little step back is equivalent to this travel time right here. So you're basically buying that for yourself. And it's time that would happen anyways. The charm outlasts that, and it means that your spell hits on both ends. So it's super important on some champions to take a step backwards. Keep that in mind. And Nautilus being one that, however far his hook is going to be, he's always going to bring you halfway. Right? So if he like hooks right here, you're just going to both meet right here in the middle. That's not a big... You haven't pulled them that far. Whereas this one right here, you're pulling them back 2 Teemos, almost twice as much. Actually, more than twice as much backwards. All right, these guys come back to lane. The fact that they roam means that we have level 6 timer on Berserker. We should see Noah hitting 6 right there. Yes, it is. Now, this is a fast 6, all right? One of the things that you can do if you end up staying with your carry, so the both of you, let's say you both stay in the lane together, you're actually both going to end up at awkward CS totals, right? Where you can be just short of a level at some waves. So you want to go with your duo, figure out what those timers are. I could tell you, but the much better thing is for you to want to figure out this thing for yourself. you go in and say, all right, I need to leave for a moment so that they can hit the spike and I won't. I'll still get it on the first minion of the next wave, but that way at least my carry is level 5 in the meantime, right? And there's 2 different spikes where you can do that. Rumble, diff, oh my gosh, just so champ. Bog Jam. This is what we're talking about, guys. Rumble is on a whole nother tier. There is no excuse for giving this and giving this. If you're giving Xayah, it should be to collect Rumble. Rumble is on that level, and frankly, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to take Jarvan once you have Rumble. So even if you had Orianna, I understand the fear of like maybe we take Rumble and then Orianna and then they take away Jarvan, and then this is the problem that you end up giving this. That's the problem with giving up Xayah in the draft. It completely changes the scope of things. You're basically locked down into whatever the mercy of whatever they opt to pick for the rest of the lanes, because they're going to be so strong in those other positions. Good job by Rumble pausing for a moment. You see that, making sure you get all of his abilities off with the overheat. Once you overheat, it's like you have an extra Gnasher's Tooth. You start pummeling those fights. Comet, by the way, the reason they're playing Comet, delayed. As the fight continues, the longer it goes, you're able to get 2 and 3 procs of Comet off in those fights. That's why they end up going for it. It's good for laning phase with the chunk. A little bit better than Conqueror is, and then it still has the payoff later. All right, a couple more rotations. We have Nautilus coming over. Xayah, completely competent to stay in the bot lane by herself, as is Ezreal. But Xayah will always have the advantage there because with one champion, the superior wave clear is always going to win. As long as you don't present the target for the other one to fight you, you're good. So you just go up, you clear the wave, you step back, rinse, repeat, do it over again. Sometimes you can even see them push the wave and then they'll come over for this fight. But I expect that won't be the case right now. Actually, it is. Oh, she's going for that deep ward. That was risky. If Lee Sin had the heads up on that, then you would have seen a punish right there for sure. Ezreal, losing vision, right? So the reason that worked is because this control ward and the wave, the fact that you pushed the wave in and then you had the control ward to cover your movement means that she doesn't die going over here. But that ward was really not worth. It's not a risk that you want to take. If your team's taking Herald, you should assume that they are coming for this. The Jarvan Rumble combination is just so insane. Now, Azir was banned, so we didn't end up with the most common pairing for J4 in the mid lane, but Yone is just as good and also just has these extra synergies, right, where both of these guys have superior line intersecting ultimates that can go through the Cataclysm and get guaranteed continuation to the fight once you lock someone down, especially when you have someone on a flash timer and you know what they're not going to be able to do. In this game, in particular, you're talking about this champion right here. You absolutely want to get her dead as the fight starts. You do not want to start a fight where you have 1, 2, 3, even 4 people diving onto a fight and then having the shockwave go. So as we look at these fights, we're going to see either she's the target or they're going to play it slow or they're going to go for picks that are not proximal to the Orianna. Look at this execution. There we go. Finally, we see someone dropping a good red carpet here. Oh, he tries to jump out and it gets negated. That is such an awkward timing. It's actually very rare to not be able to get out of that. Literally, you have to get hit by the wall while you're in transit. All right, 2 champions coming up, helping with the push. This makes sense. Look how Jarvan and Nautilus are already here. Not wasting any time. You just drop this. They're just going to go to X these out. 2 plates to the Jarvan solo, which means that he's going to be able to go get his Gore Drinker for sure. Should also have enough gold to upgrade his boots. So they're playing for a big Jarvan spike here. They're securing a little bit of vision around the dragon first because basically this is his last chance to come out on the map. And then he's going to be farming and in position for the dragon. So there we go. Gore Drinker ends up being Ruby Crystal, so just a bit short of boots. Going for the maximum amount of stats. One of the things that you'll see from these guys, by the way, if they have multiple rubies in a build, or if a Kindle Gem and a ruby are part of the build, for example, like take Sterix Gauge, for example, they're going to buy multiple ruby crystals rather than getting the Kindle Gem. I say Sterix Cage, but all of the items that have multiple ruby crystals plus upgrade components in them. We see the strength of the Yone against Orianna. Orianna's afraid to move the ball over, but they do end up getting that one chunk into Nautilus. We do have the ult, double flashes coming out. Good response. Rakan also knocking up. Beautiful follow-up by Fnatic. Well done. Turn that fight. I'm sure we'll get another look at that. That's one of the problems with these engage ultimates that get you so deep in, especially if you don't have the Spirit Refuge to get you out. He'd use the E to get a significant chunk onto Orianna, goes for the kill with the R. Double flashes in response means that they get to turn around and get the kill for themselves instead. Now, big point of lead here. Sork Shoes and Night Harvester is a big spike for Rumble. Here we go. Let's take a look at the fight. All right, so look at the position. When we start off, Nautilus is already thinking about pushing the wave. We want to try to get the cannon advantage. This is a first advantage that they have for C9. Unfortunately for them, they don't know about Razork over here. So Trimby plus Razork are able to get a big chunk to start this fight. Now to peel, right, rather than going off and fighting this, if you fight in this direction, then the Orianna ult's going to rip you apart. So instead, by isolating Orianna, you create an advantage for yourself. But as the fight comes back to this area, you need to be able to consolidate again. And you can't do it while Shockwave is still up, right? So this is Orianna's advantage. As we look at this fight, you see Sven trying to peel. He actually cues it right at the same moment as the kick, which is fantastic buffering by Razork. Go with the rest. Beautiful positioning by Fnatic. You see how they just took positions, took angles where they could each have impact at all times there. It was Rumble with another solo kill. The huge advantage here. I wonder if we're going to see a fast like Abyssal Mask as retaliation from Jax. Abyssal Mask, the single strongest item in Magic versus Magic duelers, right? Because you're stealing their MR and you're taking it for yourself. So they're dealing less to you and you're dealing more to them. You're almost dealing true damage, in fact. So Abyssal Mask can be super highly valuable, and in this composition where you have 40% of Ezreal's damage, 100%, and a good chunk of yours as well is all magic, there's nothing wrong with building Abyssal Mask into Rumble and just going and duking it out if you're going to play from this situation. But Divine Sunder standard going to come out first. I expect it to be an Abyssal Mask second, and we'll see what goes from there. The problem is going to be then these guys still dealing significant chunks of damage. We'll see whether or not there's any deviation from that. Jarvan, Nautilus moving together. Xayah rotating over to the map. Post 14 minutes. Plates are down. Xayah got one last push in, and she comes on over. Fighting for mid lane prio. Now it's interesting. They're going after the top side. It looks like they want to punish Fudge here. But we're going to have... Oh, almost gets a two-man Cataclysm, but that's going to be enough. You're going to trap Humanoid in here. They're also killing everything in the meantime. Man, they're getting all this damage in. Beautifully done. And the ultimate coming out from Nautilus means this is a clean wipe. This will be Herald. It'll be the turret. Xayah will continue pushing. Yone will continue pushing. If you're Fnatic, you can make one little counterplay here, trying to poke at the Xayah, and then you can rotate over. But with only two people up, they can't even trade for the dragon. So we're going to see this go down, this go down, this go down, and most likely the dragon as well. Although there's a chance that Cloud9 just decides to recall, spend their money, and come back out to match and say, well, we'll fight you for the dragon. We'd prefer a fight with this much of a gold lead. Rumble getting another ult off. Rakan being as safe as he is. M&S with a beautiful up-tempo teleport. Saving the execute. Beautifully done. Don't want to overcast that. You're waiting for that stopwatch. That's why it's so important to press tab. It's not like Yone was reacting to that, because he definitely had the opportunity to get the kill with the snapback, but he knew that there was a stopwatch there, so he's doing an internal timer to count out the beats. All right. Flame Spitter goes down. Jax thinks that he has a window, but no, sir. You are down a full level and items here. Burn damage gets some. Yep. Guy is getting punished. Razork trying his darndest right there. Dashing onto the Orianna, kicking the guy out of the pit, using Q to follow his way out. Trying to take aggro, trying to get something so he can bounce his team out. But you can't drop the walls themselves. All right, here we go. No, this is still the replay. We see second screen right here, the use of the Rift Herald. They get that one down. I'm surprised that they actually decided to use the Rift Herald for this. And this is a huge mistake from Fnatic. They're actually trying to hold this territory. They are just dead to an encroachment, right? If C9 just walks into this, they're going to be okay. They can stat check them. Wallet diff is huge right now. We're talking about 2 completed items on the Rumble, and they've got half item leads on everywhere else. So it looks like they're trying to play for this. This is suicidal. Maybe they think that the game's only going to get worse, and so they're making a choice like, hey, we're going to make this stand right here. Beautiful, beautiful. Best Rumble all of the tournament right there. Everyone's running away. They're pinned to that wall. Oh my gosh, the Yone follow-up. You see this comp doing exactly what it's designed to do. Fnatic paying the price for this dragon. Was it worth it, guys? This is a situation, instead of making any sort of fight and then having a predictable escape where you're going to be run down by Yone ultimate and Rumble ultimate, instead just give it, all right? Go for mid lane push, try to get vision in this area, and then get this turret for yourself, okay? This is how you want to react. You can have even rotational wards right here that stop them from just flanking you. As you push this, you exit this way. You make this the strong side of the map for yourself. You give up the dragon, and it's not a big deal. Instead, they put abilities on cooldown, including Smite, right? That is a combat ability. Then actually buying some time for himself. Beautiful, beautiful knock-up sequence there. And then the R forward. Did he actually R and then flash to get extra? No. Grimby is going to int himself to try to peel the team, but it's not going to help because M&S is just too fast. He's going all the way behind, taking the long con. Oh, the fact that Noah actually goes for the recall probably could have gotten out for himself. Wait. Gadunk, gadunk. Rumble, equalizer. That is beautiful cinematics, guys. Well done showing us that fight. If Orion actually had her flash, then that's a huge punt because she was near this wall. She could have flashed over that wall and avoided all that. So maybe Nerves getting a little bit of the best of them. 8K in the gold lead means Cloud9 is going to set up for this Baron. They can actually be pretty lazy with the setup because they're going to win by so much if a fight does break out. We're talking 2 completed items across the board. Everyone but Yone, actually. So Yone's going to go split, create some pressure. The 4 stack is strong enough to act by themselves. Rumble is incredibly strong. You see the stopwatch to protect his bounty. All right, they're going after his bounty. He's going to do this. Stopwatch is going to go down while he has Flame Spitter and he has the overheat. Okay, they do get the kill, but they're all going to, they should all die here. No, we're going to get just one. I don't like Yone's teleport here. Unless they're saying that they're going to get Baron right now as well, which they could. All right, they are going to be strong enough. You have multiple people that were chunked down to 40%. You could try to race down this Baron. Looks like the pings are there. Yeah, they're going for it. They also have this control ward. Very important that you don't attack this ward, guys. In solo queue, a lot of you guys will hit these wards. Once you hit them, once they're in combat, they will give vision for 4 seconds, all right? Same thing once they place it. So when they place the ward, they're going to have vision. You see how Nautilus, by the way, very nicely done. Worth pausing for a moment to like show everyone's position. See how Yone exits the pit, but not really? Because he has that tool available to him. If you have a jump and a jump back, that's the ideal situation for you to peel in these spots. We don't have our Rumble. He would be out here threatening for like equalizer along this corridor. Position out here to engage, forces Rakan away. Rakan's not going to solo this engage, and you see how Sven is looking to just hold down Lee Sin from getting into the pit himself. So beautiful positioning right here. Love how they have the double control wards as well. This is an investment of 150 gold, well, really 225, but these 3 wards all in conjunction, really you don't need this one, but this one and this one are going to give you enough vision of the attacks over the bush, plus they have these 2 wards right here, so all the angles that Lee Sin could try to make are already taken care of, so good job by Sven, recognizing what his role is, and then going forward, the team can go M&S more than willing to jump out and fight Noah because he's that much stronger. Solo laner level 13 versus 12 has a lot of advantages for himself and gets that kill as they go forward. And then Nautilus is already in position to peel as well. I don't like that ultimate from M&S. Even if he had hit it, I didn't like it. Maybe you're catching someone, maybe you're not, but your team's already like, some of the people are calling back. Some are trying to figure out where they should exist. Beautiful done by Razork, stepping to the side too to be able to land Q2. Fudge with the patience to turn all of his abilities on before getting the stopwatch means he gets the maximum damage out. Absolutely love it. Orianna no flash. You see that teleport to the Demacian standard. Best case scenario for a lot of these fights. As soon as they break out, as soon as Jarvan goes in, you teleport to that. Don't even look for another ward. Then dutifully coming out, dodging the Ezreal damage. Beautifully. I mean, this is perfect role assignment. Perfectly done. You're responsible for the smite, you stay in the pit. You're responsible for DPS, as is Berserker, you stay in the pit. If you are a solo laner that's strong enough to take fights, then you go outside the pit. Let's see if Jarvan actually keeps this. It looks like he's keeping them in there because of the red carpet being laid underneath them. We see the power of Rumble. This champion is just absurdly strong. So there's no way that we go through another draft with this being available and Xayah. Right, leaving Orianna, Rumble, and Xayah available, meaning that when they first pick Xayah, you have to respond Rakan. Rakan's not even the top support. He's just the top one when considered with Xayah. What I would prefer next time, if you're going to give this sort of draft up, you have to give up Xayah Rakan. You have a better chance fighting it if you have the Rumble or the Jarvan paired with the Orianna. And you just try to say, no, we've got OP champions. We can make this work, and we'll try to find a counter matchup for bottom. Whether or not it's perma push like Caitlyn Karma, or whether or not it's something completely off meta like Tom Kench and Senna, and you try to play with that. Sona Seraphine, so you have the scaling advantage, and you just play for a blank lane phase. Got a lot of options, but giving up Xayah blue 1 just means a lot of trouble. We're gonna have to up her record to 28-8 coming out of this game, assuming we get the win. It is 10.5k gold lead. Cloud9 can skip some steps with this much of a lead. But you see how they push up the lanes first. You push the lanes, then you go into the jungle, secure this. Then when you're coming back, you have an idea of how many wards may have seen you. Plus you have an internal timer of where they couldn't be, right? And if they couldn't be any closer than this, then you know that they're not going to be able to contest in time, especially since they're going into Fog of War. They know that it's dark there. They don't know whether or not there's traps. People tend to take a little bit longer going through fog. And they are punishing this flash timer by Humanoid. It will be a backup for the next fight, though, I imagine. But this is how you have to play. When you're Jarvan, when you're Rumble, this combination in particular, alt, you're looking to do this every minute, right? Like basically 80 seconds on cooldown over and over and over. Finally, we have the flashback up, but that's what it means to be an immobile champion. This is how you punish Orianna. You've got no dashes, you've got no flashes. Jarvan is going to cataclysm you every time your flash is down. We're going to target you in every single fight. Once that flash is down, then you see what happens where the entire team just goes after. Blabber finding another multi-man cataclysm means that they get to put it in, but this was a very poor angle there. Cloud9 taking all the resources. They're going into all the lanes. All the jungle camps are theirs. So this is how you expand your lead. Going from... No, it was 10.5. So they actually haven't expanded anything. But they take the moment to get something into their pockets. Yone finishing... No, not finishing anything. Just continuing with the BF sword. We're probably going to see Bloodthirst. No, it might be Infinity Edge. Could be Infinity Edge. Infinity Edge is... sufficiently statted. They were very cautious about making it too strong. They kept buffing it, and they're at the point where they said, all right, this is either good enough or we're deleting the item. And basically it's good enough, right? The stats are good enough. You tend to not want it second, not even on champions like Yone and Yasuo, who get to double the amplification, or double the crit chance, I should say. But it's still third item, right? You get some amount of core gameplay out of Bork, and then you build into a defensive second item, make sure that you can continue scaling. Then you go for the full damage. At least that's what I expect to see here. There's still a world where you might get something like Gale Force, where he says, you know, this team, it's about my ability to reposition in for the fights and make sure that I can get in when Jarvan and Rumble say it's go time. So there is an argument for having Gale Force, but there's also an argument for making sure that you deal the maximum damage when you do get into the fight, so that those spells are never wasted. Oh, is this the new skin? Wait, that's in-game? How is that in-game? Okay, it's there. That looked like it was the new Heartsteel skin. What do you guys think of the skins? You can timestamp 2622. What do you think of the new boy band? Paranoia, the skins, the characters, all about it. Whatever you want to talk about. All right, Fnatic keeping it at 10K. The longer they can keep it at 10K, the better it is for them, especially if they have a chance at maybe making this game go towards Soul. They could also just play defense and say, you know what, we're not going to go for this. We're going to let you take it. And if you're taking this long, an extra 15 minutes to consolidate your win, then we will take that to the bank. Because 15 minutes from now, if we're talking about like 70K versus 61K, for example, that would be a huge win for Fnatic, even if it were against Soul Point or even the Soul itself, because that just means that you're that much closer to everyone. You're still able to get these big fights. But talking about the team comps, we see what C9's able to do. These proactive plays over and over and over. What is Fnatic's comp, right? Ezreal has such a identity crisis sometimes in these like go in, go out. Are we a peel comp? Am I a split push? Normally you pair Ezreal with split pushers, 1-3-1, because he's so safe to park right here. You have one piece of peel, you have one person nearby, usually the jungler, and then you have split pushers off in the side lanes. But Orianna can never be a split pusher. She's too susceptible in the side lanes. Here we go, Nautilus holding the outside, Yone charging out as he did last time. Razork actually with a steal and is able to get out. What a huge play by them. We're going to see Cataclysm plus damage. I expect all of this follow-up from C9. We're going to have a teleport from MNS. Yeah, he's going back in. But he actually spent some time killing wards. I don't know what that was about. That ends up turning into nothing. That's kind of a tilty teleport. If you're going to go, then go. And you're thinking that you're clearing the wards, but the team's thinking, no, let's punish. It's like, okay, fine, I'll teleport here, but by then it's too late. So some missed comms here by Cloud9, showing some weakness. So Fudge kind of getting himself in a weird spot. This right here, Rumble ult needs to come out right there. That needed to be up front so that Yone could have the maximum amount of damage, wouldn't have to fear about snapping back. You also have Jarvan that could have gone out. So if you lay out that Rumble ultimate right here, then Yone jumps out and slides across it. That gives the window for Jarvan to snap out and get a Cataclysm if they start grouping up to retreat, and then you can get your whole damage in for your team. So would like to see that played a little bit better, obviously. That's a huge chunk of their gold lead gets bitten into. That's 8K now for Fnatic. The diff is not that big. Yone just hacking up Rakan. I like what Rakan was thinking, all right? And if MNS has the read and he's playing exploitative, then great, right? The idea that, hey, I'm still going to control one person over here to make sure that you can't have one side of the map that's strong for you. They know that we're taking Dragon, so the normal play, as we spoke about it later, was to create a mid-line of scrimmage, create rotational wards, and then play for this to be your side, your strong side. If Yone comes over here, he's ready in response to the Rakan. That would be trying to lay out wards like this, for example, or like this. Some combination of wards that is going to allow his team to play for the next Baron, maybe, or get some amount of positional play. Instead, he bites the dust. Yone gets a little bit bigger. His damage is just absolutely insane right now. Guardian Angel being used. There we go. All the dashes are down. We'll see if we have an Orianna. Ooh, that was a potential window. Could have gotten all 4 people if he had cast it right then. Again, a little bit of a reach from Cloud9. We see the difference when enemy team has all their dashes available and when you're not targeting this guy, right? Everyone else just dashes out. Fortuitous timing there for the Yone. I don't think that was exploitative at all. That was just him going from top wave to catching blue to going back to top. Looks for the EQ, not quite good enough. There's 5 people in the bush. Rumble has to come out. In response, it's just dashes. So there was a window right there just for a moment. It looked like Humanoid was out of range for that to ever be good enough. Rapid fire being added for Xayah. This is an important part of her kit for this team comp, right? These guys might be jumping so far ahead of you. You need to be able to contribute. So rapid fire cannon will help you get that first auto much earlier in the fight. It also means that you can Q plus auto from basically the maximum edge of your Q range. If you can get Q plus auto, that means you can get pullback. So your root range is essentially increasing as well by doing it this way. Another moment for me to mention that Cerulda's Grudge, yes, it's a great item. I would much rather have Ravenous Hydra at this stage in the game than Cerulda's Grudge. Cerulda's has a slow. It's not really doing that much extra for your damage relative to Ravenous Hydra. Obviously, the slow is what you're going for, but this team, like, you're setting up with stuns, group CC anyways. You don't really need this. What you really need is Ravenous Hydra, so you can go to a wave, auto Q, auto Q, auto, boom, it's gone. The entire wave is dead. Right, like that's what I'd rather have from Ezreal at this stage in the game, so that I can park him in mid. We haven't seen any of the players. It used to be standard. Now, for some reason, this has become the new standard. I disagree with it. I don't think it's that good. It's good if you're going to have 2v2 skirmishes a lot. Kind of good in solo queue. But in pro play, Ravenous Hydra to keep the wave pushed is just paramount. All right, looks like Cloud9 is willing to just play for the Baron. They're looking, you see this line of wards. Both teams actually doing it. They're actually matching each other with their ward lines. Now, something we saw from Loud that we were wondering if that would show up more is more people holding on to their wards for the end game. Like, it's very common to have 2 Farsight alterations and a couple of sweeping lenses to go into the end games. But when you have champions like Lee Sin and Jax, you expect them to hold on to their yellow trinket. Orianna never really feeling great about checking any kind of bush, although she can do it with her Q. It's kind of at the edge of that Jarvan engage range, though, so you have to be really careful about that. But that's why you can go out and set shallow, redundant wards, right? Let your Rakan go out and get these wards, and then you go out and set one behind, and then you can move for the team like that. Because the new Farsight alteration, A, gives up more gold than it used to, which is a small thing for the price you're getting. But at the moments that you're trying to get that vision, usually the most important time to do it is in the middle of a fight. Hold on, we've got the engage. Flashing over the wall. Q into ultimate to knock up the Ezreal, even though he tries to buffer away from it. There's the actual flash to move away. But in the meanwhile, they've got a fight in the backline. Zaya's ripping apart the Lee Sin. This is a big fight, not what you want from here on out. All that damage coming out from Rumble. Oh, the beautiful EQ flash from Blabber jumps him in. Rumble trying to dash forward. Seeing so much damage from these guys. All right, inhibitor down, 3 versus 2, but it is the Orianna and the Jax. These cooldowns are coming up, but not in time for this Baron. I don't expect them to make a play for it. I think that they're going to go for the Dragon. I actually think going for the Dragon, honestly, is a mistake. Because at no point, like, the only thing that you want is enemy team to fumble over getting the soul themselves, right? Like, you'd rather have them backing off away from your pushes to get this. Getting the actual ocean is not going to improve your siege at all. And you're not really elongating the game favorably for yourself. I'd rather see Elder put on the table and give them a chance to int at it, right? Win for that one fight. Instead, you're basically guaranteeing that this is going to be a bleed out situation. Now, it's a small thing, you know, like if you got soul, let's say you were able to win a coin flip fight and go for soul. The thing is, you're not fighting for this soul. You'd have to at least survive a little bit longer. Your inhibs are going to have to respawn after this Baron push. So you're giving this one, you're probably fighting for that one. And if you're fighting for that last dragon anyways, wouldn't you rather just do it for an Elder where you can actually just end the game off the buff? Fudge getting so close. Survives. Does have Zhonya's available, but he'll just... No, there's no teleport actually. So that's going to be the end of that push. They're going to reset and go back into the play. They've got 150 on Baron. Now, when your supers are down mid, you're going to see someone come up and escort the wave. This is often a mistake, though. You want to slow push this wave. By holding this wave as long as possible, you can create bigger pushes, double or triple stack this wave before you go in with it. Then you release the pressure here and you hard push mid to answer. So you say, all right, now there's supers in your base while we're hitting your turret. You might even see adjacent lanes still with someone like a Jarvan going in through the middle. or even Nautilus, right? Some sort of flanker, but tends to be your fighter type, which is why you see Jarvan in position. Nautilus actually covering for him as well. Ultimate for ultimate here. That's going to favor Berserker because he still has feathers on the ground. Correct response is to engage into one half of the team. Just find a way. It looks like we're going to get a couple 3v3s. Too bad that we couldn't rotate over. There's no Orianna ult. Correct answer is go as hard as you can on one direction. C9 calls off another push, and Fnatic defends again. Remember when we talked about 70k versus 60k, how this would be a huge win for Fnatic? They're actually getting themselves back into this game. Very troubling that we haven't found an answer here yet for Cloud9. We're about to be full items on Xayah, and at that moment, that's the end. Like, you have to end at that point because you stop scaling, even though you're getting extra gold. Like, what are you going to do? You've got this to turn into a Phantom Dancer, potentially, maybe. Right? Like, not even necessarily. You could have Guardian Angel as well, but probably wants the extra move speed. That's the only source of growth that you have left, apart from, the elixirs. If that happens and Ezreal's allowed to continue getting all the way up, then we're going to potentially have issues. I hate this frozen card purchase. This is meant to be a counter to Yone. Yone's trying to dive onto the Ezreal and has the tools to continue. R can be met with the E by Ezreal, but then it's always still going to fall. He's going to have enough range to continue for the fight and force out the flash, and he doesn't want to be stuck in a position where he has to beat that. The extra mana does go towards your mirror mana damage, so there is something there. But again, like your lack of ability to clear waves at range is going to be a problem here. This is perfect. What Yone's doing right here. His waves are already at stasis. You hop out of vision. You make it unclear whether or not you're still here. This is still going to be a push. You're just waiting. You're kind of sitting, biding your time. All right. And then once your team is comfortable, they have a better vision line and they're ready to go back forward. Nautilus back up on the map. That's when Yone's going to look. So he's going to go to look to pressure this wave as it approaches, and he wants to crash it in to go and then rotate to the team. Then he's going to look for the 1 minute mark to be strong here. And then you can start setting up for the Baron. Well, I should say that is the continuation of setting up for the Baron. But they'll start looking to actually get in position for dealing that damage. Jax comes over. Notice how he waits for the wave to get all the way close to his turret before he goes out. Does not want to get into that 1v1, even though his name is Jax. Such a threat, right? Endgame Yone, just such an incredible late game threat. It was the Infinity Edge. We also ended up with Wit's End, means he's going to be able to take this. I'm surprised that he didn't get that first. Perhaps a nod to the amount of damage that these guys deal in physical. Thing that he wants to bork, but Wit's End would have been very good this game as well. But this set of items, offense and defense, notice that they're all modal except for this one, which is saying I just need to be able to kill you in the duration of my E dash. Now Cloud9, it looks like they're playing for this dragon. Another wave pushed up here by M&S. We're going to see, as the E is winding out, we're going to have a huge chunk of damage here. Steric's gauge is not good enough in this situation. See Jax getting completely chunked out. Blabber dashing on top of Ezreal. That's his E and his flash moving out. Fudge using Zhonya's to get all this damage up front. Beautiful ultimate by M&S. He loves these aggressive champions. Dashing forward, we're going to clean up the fight. That is everybody dead. Cloud9 is able to find the fight. Eventually it comes down to these vision, right? Enemy teams trying to think about rotating over, maybe contesting for this dragon, maybe trying to make a fight for soul. I hope that wasn't the case because, obviously you just lost. But again, you're losing. You just need to survive long enough for this guy's 5th item to not matter, right? The longer the game goes, the better it will serve you to try to match up again. All right, 1-0 start for Cloud9. That's a victory. It's going to be do or die now for Fnatic. They're going to have to win both games in a row if they want to advance.